G'day, good evening. Thank you for listening. This is an agricultural horticultural show focusing on plant science, soil science, microbiology, and the information provided is for educational and scientific purposes. It's fact-checked, so any of the websites or papers that I go through will be put in the description below. And today I changed the cover, so I hope you give me some feedback on what you think of my new screenshot is, please. It would be nice. And we're going to get focused today is on that organic farm production. I can't remember the name of the blooming course, but I'll be going through that. Organic farming for sustainable agricultural production. That's the course I'll be going through. And it was rad. It was like, probably out of all of the ones I've done so far, it was probably the one that was most power-packed, full of information. I'll start talking. I'll give it another 55 seconds, wait for some more cool folk to arrive, and then rip right in. So I'll talk about it in 40 more seconds, wait for some more to arrive. But yeah, I thought I'd change the screenshot, something different. Jazzed it up a bit. Plus also I've got to comply with YouTube policies because it's just so difficult these days. So that's what I've done. Just make sure it all goes swimmingly, nice and smoothly. Right, 8 more seconds to go. If you're already watching this back, you might want to fast forward till you see some slides. That's when it'll officially have started. Until then, I'll just be talking for a bit about this cool course. Now, it's one of out of all the ones I've done at university so far, it's probably one of the most relevant. It's right on point, and it just breaks down the facts on what you should do and a few quick tables on it. And then the other courses go into great detail on how those processes happen and what happens if you don't do them type thing. But this course, this organic farming for sustainable agriculture, is rad. All right, let's go through it. No one's said anything yet in the chat. That's all right. As long as you enjoy the stream, I don't mind. So this is all of the hang on. I was organised. Back to pressing all these buttons again. It's not even got the right screen up. That's the one I want up. That one. Yeah. Tell me what you think of the new screenshot, please. And how you going, Momanic Meds? What do you think of the new screenshot, mate? Pretty funky. I just quickly worked on it. You might see one of the anyway, you'll see. Let's get into it. This is going to be fun. This is so just nearly every gardener could pick up something from this. Of course, this is I'm going through a course, so I'm not just going to go and tell you the facts straight away. I'm going through the course. So this is I think it's a 12-week course, this one. So I'm going to go through here, look up the top. There's 10 lectures put up. So what's it go through? If it's a 12-week, it'll be 60 lectures usually. So history, I'm not going to touch on what is organic farming. Organic farming is an ecological production management system that promotes and enhances biodiversity, meaning life, all microbes, and all cycles, biological cycles, and soil biological activity. It's based on minimal use of off-farm inputs and on management practices that restore, maintain, and enhance the ecological harmony. So basically, you're going to go and hit minimal inputs and maximum outputs from an organic farm. Organic farming is a system which largely excludes the use of synthetic inputs such as fertilizers, pesticides, hormones, feed additives, and the maximum extent feasible rely upon crop rotation, crop residues, animal manures, off-farm waste, organic management, mineral grade, rock additives, and microbes. So I'm going to skim through again. And because my studies is in India, they give me a lot of stuff on India, as you'd expect. So if you don't, if you're not into organics, this is some effects that you can get from, like, was it last week's talk I did on glyphosate, which Roundup, which is such a terrible, terrible thing and stays for generations or for decades. It can hang around for. But anyway, this is some adverse effects. So if you don't, from all these pesticides as an example, you can get all these types of problems in the human body, let alone animal bodies as well for your pets. They've even got an average uptake of organic chlorine pesticides, or DDT. There's that much of it that's actually in India. So conventional versus organic gardening. So you'll see they're all pretty similar. Well, look at here's all the names are in the outside: ecosystem, employment of workers, all that sort of stuff. And the graphs in the middle just show on how big it is. So if it gets close to the outside, it's higher amount. So soil quality, look at the soil quality over here, poor. All sorts of poor things. Might get a smidge better yield. Nutritional quality, see, it's a little bit lower as well. That's the only adverse thing, is yield. So for all the farmers that do conventional farming, pretty much they only care about money. Pretty much, I said, because a lot of them do want to transition into organics, and it's just a hard process because they're already built to the max with all of their practices that they do. But you can transition. So this is, I think that this course was going to transition. Was it this one or the other one? I've done another one too, so I'm not quite sure. But it's a 3-year transitional period if you want to get into certified organics. So that's the end of this lecture. You can see the countries that practice it. Where was the one up there that showed? There was one about Australia. Oh, here it is, the next one. So this is the amount. India has more organic farmers than any other country in the whole world. There's the numbers. And then over here, it's the amount of people that are transitioning. So look at Australia, very high, which makes me happy, because I was asking at the agricultural shop, what's about organics? And my reply was, oh, organics is only new to Australia. I thought, you're bloody kidding. You are seriously joking. But anyway, that's the reply I got. So it's good to see people are trying. So this just goes into the world organic agricultural production, how it's low, but it's improving. So that's the main thing, because they're realizing about the quality of the food. ORAC values is an organic quality of food, and it's way higher nutritionally and microbial better for the human body and animals through organics. Where we are, food for thought. I like these little cartoon things. Why can't I zoom in? Oh, there it is. Food for thought. Future prospects. Organic farming has grown almost 25% during the last 10 years. Anyway, let's get into it a bit more. We all know about how it's growing. Why organic farming is suitable in India, for instance. Well, the organic farming requires 30% less input costs, 10% more price for the final produce. Actually, it's way more than that if you get organic certified. It's heaps more than that. And 90% productivity of conventional agriculture, let alone sustainability. You're improving your soil or substrate, so it's going to be more enhanced, making things easier down the track. So it might be harder at the start, but geez, it pays off. What's this? How to become an organic farmer. How do I become an organic farmer, she says. Well, there's 3 steps, I reckon. Collect information, righto. Try out the most promising practices on small scale. And the last one's way more important, implement organic practices. So you've got to do a course like this and learn about how to do organic practicing. And it's not just for animals, for the plants or substrate, it's for every single thing in the boundary line. So you have to change your washing powder. You've got to change every single thing in all your practices to make it organic so it can be sustainable. You're going to improve the microbiology, which is therefore going to improve biodiversity and make things thrive. But see that? Is that familiar? I saw that this morning. I thought, it's pretty snazzy, isn't it? So that's what I wanted to do, get a bit of a collage of some rad agricultural. So I did. All right. Week 3, lecture 3. Say good day if anybody's rocked up. Nope. No medics. That's all right. Let's get back to lecture 3. Hope everybody's enjoying it. We'll get into the facts soon, the fun bits. Lecture 3. Organic farming. So the components of organic farming: vermicompost, green leaf manures, crop rotation, biological management, animal husbandry, biofertilizers, and manures. So that's really all it is. And it's very labor intensive, because unless you've got money to buy truckloads of compost, you've got to make it. That's where green leaf manure comes in. I'm going to try and skim through all this stuff. Well, crop rotation, you want to change your crops around, because if you keep growing brassicas in the same area, those pests that like brassicas are going to stay there. So that's why you rotate. Pretty much why you rotate. Crop residue, that's fantastic. It's a form of organic manure, and it's a form of immobilized nutrient holding. So that's where all your nutrients are going to come for when they break down. You're going to feed your microbes. It's what you've got to focus on. And organics feeding your microbes. So organic manure. There's a few types. Farmyard manure, compost, and green manure are some examples. I don't have to read those, I don't think. I think that's where you want to go for the course if you want to do this course. I've studied there for many years. Got my photo on their website, actually, a few different times. Concentrated organic manures. Now, what are they? Well, you get a few different types of that. You get your dry and your pressed ones, like your cakes. And your cakes generally are a little bit more concentrated, so you can get some higher elements out of it. Actually, I think we're going to go into a lot more greater detail later on some numbers. I won't read the numbers out just yet. So I've been doing my own research on the things that I use. So I've got some good numbers written down. Like in these cool things at the bottom, these 14, what are these? Zero, I'm not even going to guess. Vermicompost. Well, that's earthworms. They say earthworms are the intestines of the earth. And also, they're the things that vector all the microbes and fungi spores around, because protozoa, all the microbes, because a lifetime span of a bacteria is the size of this dot just here, right here. That's its size it'll span. So it needs to get transported around. And an earthworm is a fantastic vector. Also, earthworms, they secrete NH4, what's that? Ammonium, through their skin. I think we're going to go through a bit more detail of that later on. Biofertilizers. Well, they're microbes that work as fertilizers, and they blimmin' do. I've used it for years now, and they dead set do. I've got a nitrogen toxicity from using too much nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Can you believe that? I was actually very happy when I first saw it, because I thought it's actually doing its job. Types of biofertilizers, you get your symbiotic ones, which are specific to plants, but you really want non-symbiotic ones, or asymbiotic, which can work on any plant, like azos. They work in soil, so they don't have to be close to roots or anything. They just do their function, pulling nitrogen out of the air and producing it, turning it into, far out. Is it nitrate? Nitrate, I think. I think it actually is nitrate. Don't quote me on that. Blue-green, well, spirulina, sorry, that's cyanobacteria. There's another type. That's some, if you grow any legumes, you want rhizobium, and what it does is it puts root nodules in their roots. So you see the dots, the balls, that's what they are. Can I zoom in? Oh, right. So they're form root nodules of the genus Rhizobium, and they are Rhizobium inside. So they're anaerobic, believe it or not. Oh, actually, we're not going to. I'll just get on with it. I won't elaborate. Do you want me to elaborate when I get up to sections like this? You let me know. What do you reckon? fella have a bit of input. Hello, GMF. Good evening, peeps, he says. I hope you're all safe and happy. Very good. What do you think of the new cover, mate? New screenshot I got up. Thought it'd be something different. Actually, let's go change views here. What do you think about that view? So today, for the latecomers, going through the courses on organic farming for sustainable agriculture, up to lecture 3 of lecture, I think it's 60. So I'm just going to go through 10 lectures today and touch on the basics. Do you want me to elaborate? So that was the whole thing. If you do, let me know, because otherwise I'll just pretty much just go through it normally or skim through it. So there you go. Another good thing too with Rhizobium is you get it inoculated on seeds. For instance, it comes with blue in some of my white clover, not the red clover, the white clover it does. And so you use that to coat other seed, other legumes. And also now I've got Rhizobium in the general area where I know that that's in that general area. So I'm using nothing to kill it. So I can just go and put other legumes in there and down the track, and it'll keep multiplying. It'll keep doing its root nodule thing, just trapping nitrogen in there, ready to be converted into plant available form. And what's the last one? Blue-green cyanobacteria, that is. I've even written to them about a few times. They've used, this is I call it a English botany virus. Algae is a eukaryotic cell, and cyanobacteria, which this stuff is a prokaryotic cell. So it's just a thing that needs to be changed because everyone keeps calling it algae. Biopesticides are microbes that perform pesticide duties. And there's heaps of rad ones that work really well, like this slide shows Bacillus thuringiensis, and that also puts out indole acetic acid, so one of the phytohormones as well. So it's pretty rad using all of these things. So imagine like a bodybuilder, they go and take those things to make them massive. Well, phytohormones, pretty much the same thing for plants, but you can get them out of microbes, and all the microbes I select have those capabilities in it. It's just brilliant, brilliant. And it's only going to get better. Once these, for instance, Bacillus thuringiensis, it'll put out an endospore once it goes into its stationary growth phase. And that means that it's starting to run out of the conditions that it's favorable in. So they look like Tic Tacs, Bacillus genus do. And should I pull up? I'll see if I can pull it up. Bacillus and I'm still sharing. I'm doing this live. Yep. No, where is it? There you go. There's the Tic Tac. I'll have to put in the link later on. Oh, not bad. Oh, feeling good. I just want to show you this. Right. Where's the figure? So it's shaped like this. And then once it goes into a stationary growth phase, which is up here, it starts to form its spore. And then it'll go around and it starts to die because it's out of its growth phase, and then the spore will be left. So the other bits of DNA, the 8,500 cells or whatever polar has, it'll die off, and then the spore's left. And then that becomes its favorable conditions again. And that's how it keeps on circulating forever. Unless you lyse the cell or get it killed, use some sort of sides, which aren't good. Sides, kill things. That's what the big marketing people want you to use. It's terrible. Some other examples of biopesticide here are nicotine, pyrethrum, rotenone. These are botanical pesticides, so be careful using these because they can kill your beneficials as well. Where this Bacillus thuringiensis or Trichoderma or, oh gosh, off the top of my head, that'll do. Those varieties, those genuses just do their specific task. They don't worry about killing beneficials. It's pretty cool. That's it for that one. Up to 4 already. I'll see if there's any questions. Oh, hello, Fred. 420 Fred. Nice to see you. Hello, Aussie Jeffro. Morning, everyone. Hope you all are well. Yep, going through this rad course. It's so cool. Hey, what do you think of my new... Why isn't it big? Of my new slide cover screen that I'm going to put up now. I might be able to... I was thinking I could nearly... Now that I'm getting out of that stuff I used to do, which was all so restrictive, I might be able to put my little head in the corner. You know, like you see that? I might be able to take my camera off. Might be able to see me, I was thinking too. All right, back to nearly 50% through it. Maybe it's 20 minutes, so I could slow down a bit. Lecture 4. So all these ones that I went through, these are all going to be explained in greater detail later on. So 4. Why organic farming? There is just amazing amounts of benefits. Sustainability, better health for everything and everyone, better nutritional value, lesser maintenance down the track, and you can read all of them. It's just fantastic for everything. It's how Mother Nature has bloomin' survived for 4.5999 billion years until man's put his big foot into it in the last 200 and wrecked it. So you can do the other synthetic way, no worries. But then you'll need all your stuff to kill the stuff. Then you'll need your GMO seeds that have been engineered for them pesticides, and then you can thrive. That's what modern farming does. It's a marketing ploy. Objectives of organic farming. If you wish to do any studies too, please go here. I really support them. That's where I start study. Objectives of organic farming. Well, produce food with high nutritional quality, work with natural systems, maintain and increase soil fertility, use renewable sources as far as possible, avoid pollution, wider social and ecological impact of farming system, and allow satisfaction to agricultural producer. And if you're interested in farming, it's better health. Well, it said that at the start, but it's more money. You can get way more money than conventional farming because organics is becoming a very niche area because there's so much pesticides around, as you saw from last week's talk on glyphosate or Roundup. It's detrimental to everyone that comes in contact with it. It's even in the air, kills our it's patented as a bloomin' antimicrobial. Next, some more concepts. There's plenty of concepts to do. You just got to try and practice. The best thing I suggest is to, well, listen to this show and ask plenty of questions because I'd love to help you, and look into some studies if you're really fair income about it. As you see, I'm just going to skim through this because this goes into a little of stuff that I think is like different concepts. USDA, FAO. I don't think that's really relevant for, I'm not the professor here teaching this course. I'm just going through with some rad ideas and concepts for hopefully people can adopt. As it says, concepts there, so but I'm not going to read them. There's all different ways you can farm, but in general, I support organics. Lecture 5. What's an organic farming system? Well, the system is the word there. So it's the routine of everything being in balance and happening at the right time. It's pretty hard because you've got to work with the seasons, because not all plants, like they've got long day cycles and short day cycles. So they might go into flower when you want them in vegetative type. So it's really hard. Then you've got cold spells and warm spells. So it's just good to do though. Biodynamic farming is a method of organic farming, emphasis the holistic development and integrational relationships of the soil, plants, and animals as a self-sustaining system. Biodynamics. Panchagavya farming. What do? It's a way, special bioenhance prepared from 5 products obtained from cow dung, urine, milk, curd, and ghee. These are all suitably mixed, incubated, and used. Well, the benefits of that are they're rich in nutrients, auxins, gibberellins, which are rad phytohormones, and they're rich in microbial fauna. And it also acts as a tonic to enrich the earth. to induce plant vigor and quality and production. So that's all they use. Look at that in the middle. And the way you think, how do you get cow urine? Well, or your urine. Well, you can only use urine with no antibiotics in it, because that's what we're trying to promote, is the biology. And you get it by cows by putting in heaps of straw, like you cut your grass, put grass clippings in where they sleep or spend a lot of time, and then they'll piss in it. And you collect that, and that's your contribution of the urine. So that's what I thought when I first saw it. I thought, yeah, it's easy. What, blokes run around paying little amounts with buckets or something. And I don't know if you've heard a cow pee, but it can fill half a bucket. The Rishi-Krishi system. Rhizosphere soils beneath the banyan tree is spread over an area. Special bioinoculants prepared from cow dung, cow ghee, and honey is utilised from seed singling treatment. Enrichment of soil by overhead sprinkling through irrigation system. And natural farming consists of the use of bija mrut, which the bija mrut is, that's in Hindu, is cow dung, urine, lime, and virgin soil from seedling treatments. So you'd soak it in that for 24 hours. Actually depends, but give it a seedling or soaking treatment, and then it's followed by regular use of jiva which throws in some pulse flour as well, and jaggery, which is a bit of green manure. So it helps with the nitrogen. And that's coupled with mulching and proper soil aeration. That's the natural farming. What's a Homer organic farming? No, it's nothing to do with the Simpsons. It's an Agni Hotra is the basic fire of Homer therapy. Oh. It is the science of healing the atmosphere through pyramidal fires to eliminate pollution and contamination, and it should be practiced exactly at sunrise and sunset only. Wow. I don't even remember that. That's cool. Wonder how it works. Principles of organic farming. Cyclic principle. Righto. I'm not going to go through them. You can if you want. Press pause. iPhone principle. No. Well, it's about health, ecology, fairness, and care. There's all different practices, but you can see it's all pretty much generally the same thing. Well, principles of organic farming: conservation of the land, management of the land and everything within your boundary, and actually out of your boundary, because you've got to worry about what your neighbours do. If they're spraying to become organic, if they're spraying Roundup, glyphosate, like my blooming neighbours do, you've got to put up, you have to have a 5 metre perimeter. So you've got to, if they screen 5 metres on their side, or if they don't, you've got to have 5 metres on your side. That's 15 feet, perimeter barrier, and plant a windbreaking crop like, what's my one? It's a conifer that grows tall and fast. It's the fastest growing one that you get. And then grab a few of them, plant them close to your boundary, and make cuttings of them and reproduce. That's what I'm going to do, because they're not cheap. I spent $100 on 6 blimmin' plants, and I've got a pretty big boundary. So that's an example. Worry about your neighbours as well in the management. Alternative sources of nutrients, such as crop rotation, residue management, organic manures, biological inputs. Better plant protection practices by physical, cultural, and biological control. This is the big one. Microbes. The whole thing with organics is pretty much microbes, retaining and using them, because they've got to break down all of the organic matter and your green manure, for instance, into usable nutrients for your plants. So it's all really pretty much to do with them. So you're feeding your microbes, you're preserving them, you're getting better ones. I'm looking at better ones for mine. There's also different strains of a microbe. So you can't just go and grab one and think, oh, cool, that's going to produce gibberellic acid, oxen. It's going to do everything that it says it should. Not really. It's got to be put under those conditions, and it's got to be the right variety of your bacteria type, your bacteria species. Maintenance of livestock with organic concept, and make them an integral part of the system as well. So they've got to all be organic practice. You can't go giving them antibiotics and they've got to go and pee their antibiotics all over the soil. No. They've got to maintain organic practices too. Main issues for organic farming. Standard, inspection, certification comes at a fee too. Accreditation, input, market. Market's the best bit because you'll find if you get into the right market with your organic produce or livestock, well, in Australia, it's top dollar. It's just blimmin' top dollar. You get a lot more and it's way more worth it. Plenty of standards to adhere to. Internationals, the IFORM, Japanese have got one, Indians got one. They've probably all got an Australian one that I haven't looked into. They sent me heaps of information on. Conservation for conventional to organic farming. So into the transition period. So down here, for a full organic certification, a conservation period, conversion period of 36 months, or 24 months as transition and the last 12 months as organic. But the best way to do it is to break up your property. So you might do it in, depends how big your property is, but you put it in stages. So you might go 3 stages. So the first one might be starting already. So then that can happen. Then the other 2 you might not. So you keep the other 2 not, so you can still keep an income going. Then the following year, you might keep the first 2 will be going, and the first one that you practiced in with your green manure, for instance, and your manures and your compost, you can plant in that. So it's started. But you can't get the certification, but you can still get your input for your farms. So that's how you can still keep your money flowing whilst in your transition period to organics, farmers. Initiatives. Look in your own government bodies because there might be initiatives to transition into organic farming now that they're looking for carbon sequestration and things as an example. Should stop there, which 6 we're up to. See if there's any questions. That was a bit of a mouthful. Oh, yeah. Aussie Jeff Rowe, thank you. GMF says, take the pot leaves. Oh, yeah. All gardening and agricultural, but with that. Oh, yeah. Thanks for your input, mate. I appreciate that. For you also listening, I put up a new slide that I'm going to stick to. Can I get your feedback, please? That's what I asked for. And I appreciate your feedback. Any feedback's positive feedback to me. I'm good at constructive criticism is the word. GMF says, I'm thinking about buying a few acres of land, but it would likely have rows of crops then like corn or soybean. What should I plant as a barrier to surround the whole property? We're just talking about that. I'll get you this actual species, mate. I'm not sharing at the moment. Here we go. See if I can pull up LEI. There it is. Here's my hedging conifer. The fastest on the planet, my friend. Here you go. I'll share this screen too. So I have to put this in chat later on. Stream. Present. Share screen. This one. So it's a green cypress. This is called in Australia latent green hedging cypress. It's a beautiful, dense green leaf foliage compared to any broadleaf Pittosporum, lily-pilly or other ones. So the latent cypress, but get a load of it. Look at the hedge here. 3 reasons. The reason these trees are so hardy is the fact that they are interspecies hybrids of the Monterey cypress and the Alaskan cedar trees. So they've gone and bred them together, and that's what we've got in this one, this variety, which is the fastest on the planet. And you can see you hedge it. It's got those rad little conifer leaves. It can grow very tall. It can grow to 60 feet, mate. So you just got to hedge it. You see up here, that's what I plan to do. So you plant it just inside your barrier. So you have a mowing strip. So all this will catch all the neighbours' crap, so to speak, and it'll maintain your perimeter, your being organic. Look at this one down the bottom here. That's the one I got. Cucuperus, latent greens. Why didn't that come up then? There it is. Yeah, that's it. Look at that hedge. Isn't that rad? I thought, wow, I'd love to have my boundary looking like that. Put a few windows maybe in the middle, cut a few squares out. It looks cool. And for instance, my neighbours, they spray once a year. So once a year, I could spray it, let it go really, really tall. After they spray, I could cut it back down again. That's an example of what I was thinking. Grow a 3 metre or 9 foot hedge in 2 years. So there you go. Write that one down. Cupresso cypress is the genus, and the species is Leylandii. Leylandii. I hope that it wasn't just created in Australia. If it is, anyway, that's what is a good example. I hope that answered the question, mate. And what else did you say? Oh, can I also, wasn't that? Can I also add that if you're finding if you're getting it places that had corn on it, mate, there's a high chance that they sprayed glyphosate so that they've killed everything off, because they've got genetically modified glyphosate resistant corn seeds that everybody uses. So look into that as well if you're going to get a new property, because yeah, you'll have to just add heaps of organic matter. So you let the grass grow, then slash it, grass grow, slash it, and improve your microbes, and then hope that they can break it all down, because I've had to do exactly the same thing, and it works. Hey, Sunshine RB, how you going, Sunshine RB? Nice to see you, mate. Plant as a barrier. Oh yeah, no worries. Also, would a pond be safe, or is that a bad idea around row crops? Well, a pond's fine. Why? You have to ask, why do you want a pond? I've got a pond there. I think I like it. I like ducks landing in it and stuff like that. And I've got some turtles in there, and I'm improving the biodiversity as well. And it also, the bonus about this is having a pond is that mine isn't sealed. You use, what's that clay? You need a clay to seal a pond, and mine wasn't sealed properly. So langbeinite. So I've got to go, no, langbeinite. Langbeinite, is that humic acid? It's something like that. But I've got to go and seal my pond later on. But because it's not sealed, it's just dug. You're supposed to do it, put clay down the bottom and stomp it and make sure it's nicely and that sort of stuff, get the right type of clay for building ponds. Mine wasn't done properly, but there's a bonus. Just by digging a hole and sort of leaving it, it's not that sealed. So it leaches out, the water leaches out into the paddocks next to it. So I use that as my green manure supply. So I go through every fortnight and cut the grass in those paddocks, put it in a heap, put my biostimulants, my microbes into the pile and keep it moist. And that's a ideal carbon to nitrogen ratio that's been inoculated. So I've just gone and made myself, what are my piles? Like say a trailer load full, I might make every time. I've got a trailer load full of every 2 weeks, just sitting there. I keep making it. And then when I go and till up my land to cultivate my garlic, I put those inoculated organic matter through. And mate, it just works really well. Not good, it just blimmin' works. And how much did it cost me? It cost me the gas money to put in my mower and my bioinoculants at the start too. And they go a long way, because if you source it the right sources, it's not very expensive. If you get a higher CFU rating on it, that means they're very concentrate, so you don't have to use as much. I hope that helps with your pond idea. The only reason it would be bad, I see, is if put it in the corner of your property, and then you can always fill it in if you don't like it. That's what I'd suggest. Mine's in the corner, and I like that idea. And fill it in if I don't like it. And there might be too much moisture if it's going to leach out into other crops. If you've got cactuses, for instance, if you're growing them, they might like it. Or you might get some plants that have too much wet feet if it's not sealed properly. Would the pond be safe? So yeah, and as long as you're You've got the water in it. So I've added also into my pond some beneficials. Get some D-nitrogen ones, D-phosphorus ones as an example, and it keeps it all, gets rid of the nitrites and stuff and keeps it all a bit more safer. You don't get that algae build-up. Yeah, hope that helps with the pond, mate. Sunshine RB says, Aussie CC, I'm interested in spirulina as an agricultural application, and if it should be used, and if so, how? Oh, what a good question. I use Arthrospira platensis, which is spirulina, and it's 3/4 tryptophan. And auxin, one of the plant phytohormones, its precursor is tryptophan. So in other words, you put the plant in that, give it that micronutrient, and if it can absorb it at the right stage, it's virtually a phytohormone you're planting it, let alone the other benefits that you get from spirulina. Mate, if anybody doesn't know about spirulina, just put it into your search engine and look up the wiki and read it, and you just will be spun out on why health food shops charge top dollar for it. Well, you go and get yourself a culture. Where you're in Australia, I can hook you up. I'll give you an inoculant that you can put into a bucket, leave it outside, and culture it. It's called a fed batch culture, what you'll be making, and then you can add to it. You don't add anything to it because it's organic. It gets its electron acceptor from the atmosphere. It's the CO2 and nitrogen. And it's, what does it donate it to? I think it's NH3, so NO3. It's not ammonium. I think it's nitrate. But anyway, spirulina is rad. There's a few different species you can get too. And I can really go on about spirit. Actually, well, I was asked the question, I'll answer it properly for you. Yep. So, what's that? Oh, there's a spirulina. Hang on. I see that GMF. It's like, oh, GMF says, I like what you're laying down. Maybe get into the homesteading angle of this for your channel. Oh, yeah? Setting up the homesteads? Yeah. Well, if people are organically interested, this is the right place. That's why I thought I'd put the plant science, soil science, and microbiology as the title, because that's what I'm into. It's what I study. And putting this study into practice, I can't believe how well it works. And the little amount of money that you really have to do. It's just pretty labor intensive, but it's all going to work. Back to spirulina. Yeah, thanks for that input, GMF. I appreciate all this constructive, this work that people are suggesting. I really do. Sunshine RB says, I just got powder I bought for myself, but it's disgusting. See the color? It makes the, yeah, what you do, you don't spend top dollar at this, it's $100 a bloody an ounce or something, isn't it? It's top dollar. So you'll get your little bit of spirulina and culture it, and then you'll take a cup out of it whenever you want it. But what I do, I drink a lot of water, 5 ppm water, very clean water, falls out of the sky here. And so I get those clear bottles, and yeah, I put 1 nip or 30 mils of my Arthrospira platensis in there, and then fill it with water. What that does, so I buy the brand new bottles and I put that in there, and that's coated the bottle. And then I put it in a little bit of sunlight to start and culture it. And then when the bottles run out, it's got a few cells that are on the outside of the plastic, on the inside of the plastic bottle, and that can restart itself again. So over a period of time, in say 6 months, I've got spirulina drinking for free out of my drink bottle, my water bottles. So that's just one suggestion you can do with it. And then for your plants, every now and then, when you're going to give them a biofertilizer or biopesticides application, you might just chuck a scoop in. And then the rain, I let the rain fill mine up. If it's not enough rain in my bucket, I've got a 20-litre bucket or a 5-litre pail that I put mine in. It's my fedback culture. It just sits in the garden. And because it's so what's that word? It puts out a very good biofilm that protects itself. So it doesn't actually. Mine did get it. Did you get an infection a while ago? I've had it for quite a few years now. The same species. What happened? I can't remember. A few years ago, something happened to it. That's right. It got that fungal infection. There was yeast on top of it growing. So I scooped that off, and it got back in health again, and it was fine. Because all sorts of bugs fill in it, all things fly into it, and they just digest it and eats it. So it's pretty interesting. So it must have a vector from something that was a pretty bad one. So, but remind me, Sunshine RB, about that, and I'll share with you a little bit of Arthrospira platensis. Save you sourcing it yourself. What's GMF said? The homesteading community is into what you are preaching, brother. Oh, really? Okay. I'll have to put homesteading in my those little tags and stuff. It's got to be organic though. A lot of homesteaders, well, I shouldn't really criticize, but mine's organic, fully organic. It's really hard to be organic. Sometimes you might, even your washing detergent. What else do I have to change? My shampoo, my hand soap. I've got to use that Earth's Choice stuff. I've got to use these things it breaks down friendly. So it is, anyway, it's my lifestyle that I want to do, and it's bloody excellent. I've been maintaining this type of approach for quite some years now. So we just did lecture 5, lecture 6. Oh, I'm not going to go into this side of stuff. Strengths, quality, products. Well, it's definitely quality products because it's free from dangerous pesticides or chemicals, high in antioxidants, ORAC value, and nutritionally value as well, branding and integrity. Well, it's also contained the microbes. Whole thing about the organics, microbes. So we're getting the endophytes that lived inside of that vegetables, for instance, and they're going to work with our system and create a bigger biodiversity, making you more healthy, more sustainable to different life struggles and stresses that happen. It's got a higher social value. Who cares about that? Animal welfare. Well, it has a good animal health, good animal product, and harmony with the environment. So yeah, like can I say that? I saw, I'm going to say that. There's not many people watching. My neighbours were spraying glyphosate on their cattle. So they had their fields were sprayed. They got massive fields, 15,000 acre fields. They were the fella come through. He didn't care. He was just, and I was pushing it out away with his truck, and the spray was going on the cattle. And I wonder why they're coughing and stuff. Because in Australia it says they don't hurt animals. That's true, it doesn't. But it hurts 90% of the cells of bacteria that make up these animals. It destroys them. And the farmer wonders why the cattle are coughing, foaming at the mouth, limping, all sorts of bad problems. So this animal health is a must as well. Weaknesses. What's the weaknesses? The Sactolactis, like I just said, that's pretty much a weakness. Limited supply of seed, manure, and pesticides for organic farming. Pesticides should be biopesticides for organic farming, especially in Australia. It's very limited. I look to import some, and it's not even on the list, so I've got to go through a big rigmarole to try and get some on the list so I can just import them. Because India, where I study, they've been practicing organics for years because they've got the highest amount of population on the planet, and they have to do that now. Like China, they're forced to change their practicing because they've destroyed the land. Well, India did that years ago. They didn't destroy it, but they're transitioning very well. So that's where I get all this latest information from. I'm not going to bag Australia again. It's labour intensive. Yeah, it's the only weakness. The knowledge base of organic processing is limited. It's sure blimmin' is, and it shows you with Australia as well. Yeah, it's new in Australia. 2025, and organic practicing is new in Australia, I've been told by a major agricultural supplier. And organic storage, packaging, transporting is lacking. Well, not really. If you set up, I just make heaps of my mounds of my grass with a perfect carbon to nitrogen ratio, and it just sits there. And because I've inoculated, it's starting to do its thing. Expensive products. Yeah, to start off, it might be to get microbes, and to maintain practices, it might be hard in the transition. But once you've done it, wow, you won't go back. Weakness, less awareness among farmers, lower yield. At the start, there could be lower yield because you haven't got your microbes and everything functioning for the 17 essential elements that a plant requires. They might be lacking a couple. Molybdenum, 1 part per billion, which is required in the 17, that's lacking in Australian soils, as an example. And therefore, that can't complete the nitrogen fixation because it requires a relationship between molybdenum and nitrogen for nitrogen fixation. So therefore, that struggles in that area. So that's an example. So once you can get everything cycling perfect, it'll all cycle and work well. So next, increasing market opportunities. There's humongous market opportunities. You can say like I was told the neighbour, they do cattle. So I said they can get double the price of their beef. And my garlic, I can get a phenomenally large amount of money from the garlic because it's certified organic, even though it's going to cost a few grand a year for the certification. So the opportunities are big. Breakthrough technology innovation. Produces lack organic inputs, such as certified organic seed, transplants, plants. What? Breakthrough? Well, not really, because you can get your organic seeds. Well, I've just gone and made seeds. You get the seeds, even if it's not organic, get the seed and work with it. Make your own seed. That's what I've done my first season here. And I've made maybe 7 different vegetable types of seed. Of course, I've got grass seed as well that I've made. And then my plant. So you can do it quite easily. So, I just like to say how it is, even though these slides might say differently. Bridge the gap of time effectiveness. In-depth research of organic inputs. It's very important with your organic manure, for instance, because a lot of farmers use antibiotics or glyphosate or Roundup. So if you want to get your cow dung from a farmer, you ask, do you spray? Yeah. They spray also the ground, and then they'll go and vaccinate their cattle. So a few reasons why not to get that's as a source of manure. So make your own green manure. You can't go wrong. Reduce the cost. Conversion time, yes. And government subsidies, if they're there, that's said that before. Opportunities. Compared with conventional farming, organic farming stores more carbon. Doesn't require synthetic ink, said that before. Organic farming systems use 60% less energy. Organic systems have more active soil microflora and greater assimilation of CO2 compared to conventional. You'll see the amount of birds and everything. It'll just be cycling so much better. Longer rotations with legumes create organic carbon sequestration. All that means is that the stalks can hold the carbon that they've pulled out of the CO2 that they've administered into their tissue, and that stores it. So that's how that happens. And then you till that through the ground. So in Australia they do. There's a browning one where you can just chop it and then leave it as a mulch, a crop, or you can till it back in and use it as green manure. So if you chop it and leave it on top, it goes brown quickly. And the reason is because the green chlorophyll that's in the cells gets volatilized off by nitrosomes and it gets put back into the air. So you lose nitrogen. So how you combat that is you bury it, and then it can't get volatilized off back into the air as quickly. So you put it back into the soil. So it's a good way to do it. So Australia's a bit... Anyway, they're the 2 practices. Threats. Cheap imports. Yep, you've got to worry about imports, and you also got to worry about adulteration of the imports as it says what it is. Or is the colony forming units only 10 to the power of 5 when they tell you it's 10 to the power of 10. From your SPED plate, you can see, oh, geez, it only serial dilutes 5 times. That's interesting when they said it should be diluting 10. It's just an example. Tantalizing cure for chemical farming. What? chemical farming has tantalised the farmers with quick fix. Yeah, it's marketing. They bloody marketed it, all this blooming rot, which that makes them a lot of money. And they've brainwashed all of the gardeners. It's sad. As a result, chemical farming has become more alluring. Yep, it hurts me. I go into my major, what's it called? You know, the major hardware in Australia here, and talk to their plant section. They don't know blooming. Well, it's all about education, and they're not educated in the organic sector. Easiest way to say it. I don't want to put anyone down because this is just education. See if there's any questions. Homesteading, yes. GMF says in the US, most homesteaders are organic living. Oh, really? Kind of people goes with the lifestyle. Dead set. Oh, I'm learning something today. That's cool. I do watch that, you know, that fella with the Alaskan fella, the Homestead Show. How he's got no buttons. He's only got a bottom button on his shirt. I watch that show. I like that, but that's mostly into the fixing up the. I suppose it is to get in the water and yeah. I'd like that show though. Hello, Infinite Wonders. How are you? Yeah, here's Lene. G'day, Lene. It says cheers, Aussie CC and chat. Hope all is well. Yes, going through a course on organic farming for sustainable agricultural production. And I'm really enjoying it. We're up to lecture 6 or 7. Today we're only going to lecture 10. And I think there's 60 in total for the latecomers. So what's sustainable agriculture? Well, it means that you don't have to, it can go on forever and not be depleted. Organics. Or this says management conservation of natural resource space and the orientation of technological and institutional change in such a manner, blah, blah. Such development conserves land, water, plant and animal genetic resources and is environmentally non-degrading, technically appropriate, economically viable and socially acceptable. Socially acceptable. Who cares about other people? You just want to do what's right for the earth to make sure it's going to, our children's children, are they going to be able to use it in such a way where it's going to be fine? Well, not in the way we spray herbicides, glyphosate onto it. No, it kills microbes. Then you've got to cycle and start again. Puts you behind the 8 ball. So that's sustainable agriculture. It's defined as the farming system and government policies that develop long-term positive impacts on agricultural and environmental land and human land and animal. A farm is sustainable even if it is able to maintain a high level of production, preserve and enhance natural capital, provide a livelihood for the farm family, sustain a rural culture. See, they go on a bit. This is the 17 sustainable development goals put out by the, can't remember, but it's they're all really, really good. I went over that pretty depthly with my entrepreneurship course because we had to pick one of them and do an assignment on it. They're all pretty much relevant. Be good to have more posters like that around, actually. It's just on what to do. Quality education, gender equality, clean sanitary is important in India, where they teach us how to use a toilet. Life below water, life on land. You've got to respect everything. Every single thing in your boundary, if you're going to do it, it's sustainable. It's really good. Goals of sustainable agriculture: environmental health, economic profitability, righto, social equality. Dead set. They keep going about social equality, which is nurturing the community. Okay, so it might be feeding the community. Equitable social environment. Environmental. I don't just, the professors read these slides. Some of them correct the information in it. I'm not a professor, but I'll correct the information if I see it's not fit, and then I'll explain why. And you can make up your own mind what you want to accept. Environmental health was huge. Economic profitability, it's huge. And social equality. No social can be surely by flourishing and happy with a far greater part of members and poor and miserable. Right. Factors affecting agricultural sustainability are land, soil related problems, irrigation, and indiscriminate use of agrochemicals. Yes. Remember too that I get helicopters around here spraying glyphosate. So they come out of the helicopter, and we'll talk a little bit about weather now. With the thunderstorm systems, there's convection flow, which sucks air up into the clouds, and then you get divergent winds, which is in a high pressure system, which push back down onto the ground. So if you've got clouds around, bits of cumulus, cumulonimbus, there's a high chance that the winds are going up into them. So you've got a helicopter spraying, the winds are going up into them, spinning around in that system, staying active, and then getting transported somewhere else and getting deposited. That's more than acid rain. That's agrochemical rain. It's putrid. And then you've also got winds from that, which can blow them a fair way. Dust travels. Well, imagine the particles that are in the glyphosate, that they travel as well. So if you can see dust travel, like I see my neighbour's cattle kick up their ground because it's very infertile because of their poor farming practices, and they'll kick the dust up, and I'll see it come my way, and it just hurts me. So it's another way that you can indiscriminately get some agrochemicals. Factors determining sustainability. Well, to be sustainable, what's this? Class 1, Class 2, Class 3. Regions having low population pressure and abundant. Considering the population pressure and availability of arable land, the world can be classified under 4 classes. Okay, what's the worst one? Class 4, regions having high population pressure and low per capita arable land, like near China. Well, we don't need to go into that much detail. Hey, I like facts. How can the world adequately feed more than 9 billion people by 2050 in a manner that advances economic development and reduces pressure on the environment? Well, if Monsanto's got anything to do it, they'll just make more GMO seeds so you can keep spraying everything. But if I've got anything to do with it, the organic system will be thriving then, and everybody will be sharing all of their organic seeds, and they will have a huge microbial diversity, like in just out of Anchorage. Here's a good little fun fact, that the largest pumpkins in the world come from a place just out of Anchorage, Mansuka. And they did a metagenomic test on the soil and found that the amount of microbes population in the soil was humongous. More than 20,000, 20,000 different genus or species, where normally you're lucky to get 4,000 or 5,000 at the best. And so that was the reason why the world's biggest. So they're all working together, putting out the phytohormones, simultaneously cycling all these nutrients brilliantly. The plant's getting exactly what it wants when it wants. It's just a fun fact. Some case studies to prove what they say. Experimental farm in the States. Look at that. What's that? Geometric. What do they call those domes? What's this experiment in the US? They have 3.5 billion tillable acres, could sequester nearly 40% of the current CO2 emissions if they converted to organics. Oh my. That's fascinating. See, oh gosh. Isn't Mother Nature just looking upon us, just going, we're bad people, humans, or the aliens that put us here? They're just going, you humans, look at yous. But I'm not. I'm trying to do it, alien. This is a few different experiments. I'm not going to read them. Another case study in India. Organic farming shows increases in carbon absorption by up to 55% and water holding capacity of the soil by up to 10%. Organic farming. And even more. The water from my neighbours runs across the surface. It's so infertile that it has no organic matter to absorb anything. Its compaction is so high that there's no air in it to allow cycling. So everything just runs off the top and skims off the top layer of your soil is your O layer of your horizon. Then it goes your A, E, and down from there. So your O is your organic layer. So every time the rain comes through, because it can't go absorb, it scoops all that off and washes it off. So good luck. That's why they're struggling. future prospects. Don't know what that was referring to. There's some references for you. Like the references, because if you like these, like the effects of organic and inorganic nutrient management, you want on rice chickpea, you might want to look up this. So you'll put that into the search engine, even probably the whole thing, and it'll come up instantly with the paper you can read. I'll stop sharing for a bit, see if there's any questions. Yes. GMF says, so my veterinarian raises goats and is into composting, and he said the vaccines, ivermectin, and other products they use and their metabolites have a limited half-life. Yeah, everything has limited half-life, but what's the half-life? Like glyphosate has a limited half-life of days, but more than likely, because it's not going to be broken down by microbes, it's going to have months and up to years of its half-life. I got goats as well. GMF says, given enough time for manures to break down, all the compounds and metabolites do as well. Yes, that's right. You've got to have the right microbes to break them down, because things don't cycle. Otherwise, it's inert. It just sits there doing nothing. You need the enzymes to be put out so the breaking down the denaturing can start happen. So that's why the microbes rule. And yeah, you're right, mate. Infinite Wonders says dicamba is notorious for it. It will lift up from the crop and drift kilometres depending on weather conditions. Isn't that sad? 2,4-D. Man. Yep. I'm sure I'm dealing with it as well. It's why the organic certification has a 5 metre or 15-foot perimeter that you've got to put around your property. And we're talking before about the windbreaks from what was the one, that hybrid cross that I've got, Cypress conifer. G'day, I am. Yeah, so it's really hard, and the farmers there's talk about with the spraying, there's talk about just when the spray is there, but what about because the fields are probably already depleted of nutrition, so they've got no organic matter, so when a tiller or a tractor runs across the top cultivating it, dust comes up, and where's that dust go? It'll probably blow towards your place if the wind's right, and then that is how I got secondary glyphosate poisoning as well. So I always keep a dust mask, one of those P2 filters in my top pocket now. So if we're working down near the perimeter, I put that on, because if that gets in my system, it's an antimicrobial, so it'll start killing off microbes, and then all your bad ones thrive. So it puts an imbalance out that I don't want, all for the sake of poor farming practices. So yes, thanks for those inputs. It's people's. Oh, we're over an hour. What? Try and. All right, I'm at lecture 7, lecture 8. I think. Oh, it's 2 more to go. So I'll just keep going. Hopefully, it won't be into the point-formed relevant info that's I really like, and that's what I focus on. Sunshine RB says the gardener at work goes, I've been spraying glyphosate for 45 years and I'm fine. Yes, he is fine. But if you do a metagenomic, he has a valid point. Pig's ass, absolute, just because his words say that he is fine, that's not good enough for me these days. People's word can't be trusted. So to do a precise analysis on his, you'd have to get his metagenomic study, which metagenomic means all the microbes. So you get a sample of that, put it through the study, 16S RNA study, and then you come back on giving you exactly what's in there. And you'd find the diversity is so slim. He has a lot of cancer-causing ones, and he might have fat-inducing ones, and all ones that aren't beneficial or as beneficial. So people, this is the Australian way, that by getting told something, you must believe it. Well, I'm finding the more I look into it, education is the key. So you definitely didn't watch my look on my, it was like last week or the week before, Sunshine RB. I did a 1 hour talk on glyphosate and went through some of the latest papers on studies on that and find out what the health effects were on the human and animals and microbes and plants. And you'll be disgusted if you see that. And then you'll really, really question what he says. Australia has been put in the dark. I mentioned it why too. I put into the search engine looking for it. You can't get these studies. They don't come up with definitive answers. So I asked my professor in India. I was on a chat with him the other night, and I said to him, "Can you get me some?" He said, "No worries." So he emailed me heaps, and you wouldn't believe. That's the ones I went through. It was blimmin' horrible. It's patented as an antimicrobial. That's its patented. That's what it's patented as. So by saying that you take antimicrobials all the time and you're healthy, okay, good. But your gut works on microbes. So there's been, I'll read some, I'll stop going on a bit about it. I'm not saying, I just wouldn't, we're all different. I'm not saying to believe me, believe him or whatever, but I'm putting out a show here and that's wrong. I don't support that. If you watched my show a few weeks ago, you'll see the reason why. Infinite Wonders says, I'm not condoning you, Sunshine RB. I'm just saying about his point. I don't believe him. Just because he said he's good, well, what about his neighbours, his animals, etc., etc.? Just watch that. Watch the lecture, mate, or the talk I gave on it, and you'll be amazed. There's some fascinating studies come out that sort of suggest that to be very, very careful about it, to the point where I've changed a lot of my practices because I've found out it's way worse than what I first thought. Infinite Wonder says, it's pretty clear that spray seed causes Parkinson's, but to prove it does, they have to expose a population to spray seed and a control that has been exposed over a lifetime and look at the prevalence. Yep, okay. Yes, it's scary stuff, Renee. Actually, there was, if you look up Monsanto, Bayer, they said that they've never been prosecuted by it. I also go through in my speech to say, yes, they have. There's been a few $1 billion lawsuits in the States, and one just in Melbourne started over glyphosate. Infinite Wonders says, so they can never say definitely that it does cause Parkinson, but you'll be hard to find an old farmer who has used spray seed their whole life who doesn't know someone who has it. Yeah. I agree exactly. Right? It's sad. It's just really sad. GMF says when he gets lymphoma from glyphosate, he will decidedly less fine. Sunshine RB says, I support regenerative agriculture, not Monsanto. Yeah. GMF says US courts have found a direct link to lymphoma and bang payout. 100%. There you go. Yep, and I show that. I go through the paper in my talk on that too. And the one in Melbourne that's just started up for this reason. It was in California actually, that there was proven that they definitely got cancer from the spraying of the glyphosate, and they paid out. And you know those companies don't pay out for no reason. And that was just squashed. And Monsanto still, well, they've changed the Bayer now. They still say that they've never had to pay out anybody from it. And I go through that too. You put it in the search engine, it comes up. It's just bloody sad. And that's the reason why Australia's brainwashed, because it says all advertising. Did you know that even, I talk about this too, Sunshine RB, that Bunnings uses 90% of their herbicides have that in it and don't say it on the front. So people are spraying it thinking, oh yeah, it's all sweet. Well, good luck. Good luck. All right, we're up to, thanks for all your feedback too, peoples. I appreciate that. It's good to go through, get some banter happening, some back and forth. So while you think of your next thing to say, I'll go through X-ray key indicators. No. Key indicators for sustainable agriculture. Water, soil health, human health, animal health, land conversion, pollution, and climate change. So the indicators, water. Agriculture accounts for 70% for the world's freshwater withdrawals and 80 to 90% of its freshwater consumption. Water availability in the future is going to be limited. Especially, do you know that 90% of the USA's groundwater is polluted with pesticides? I'm sorry, USA people. And this is why the reason. There's not enough people like myself and you cool people in chat to spread the good word. Soil health, let's get into this one. I like the facts one. Soil has been lost 10 to 40 times faster than it's been replenished, which poses a threat of long-term human food security. Furthermore, in many places, soil's capacity to retain nutrients, retain moisture, and maintain healthy pH is declining. Land conversion. Well, since the dawn of time, the first agricultural were growing crops successfully. Now we've stuffed them. Yeah, Antarctica used to grow food too. Because the climate change, it's all changed. And how's that happened? Well, pollution, nutrients, pesticides. I kind of got to stop here. I've been talking for a long time. Here goes him leading into the climate change stuff. Everything's changing. 13% of the global anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions came from agriculture. Most from ruminants like cows, goats, those animals with 4 stomachs. It comes from the manure. Yeah, did you know that, is it CO2? Is 30 times, methane, is 30 times worse than CO2 emissions for the atmosphere. Yeah, man-made fertilizers, rice and other uses adds to the greenhouse gas emissions. So you're also contributing to greenhouse gas, heating up the earth and ruining it. Other indicators, performance, crop performance, soil health. It's just pollution. There we go. World Resources Institute report. I might do next 9. What's climate change? Let's just go through this one. We already know what climate change is. It's nearly 2 degrees Celsius now. Future predictions. Yeah, it's going to be dire. Just dire if the world doesn't change its practices. Estimates of future CO2. Oh, here we go. 2100. Look, up to 1000 ppm. Imagine that. For growing precision medical plants, it says to be 1500 ppm. That's funny. But it's just, that depends how we go. If we're going to, like Australia said, yeah, by 2050 we'll meet our target. Well, I think it's going to fail short. So that's why they've put such a big outcome on it. In Australia, they want to put a big wind farm where I am, and they're going to kill thousands of acres of forest for extinct koalas just to drive trucks through to erect these wind turbines, and they think that's okay. That is helping with the greenhouse gas. You know what I mean? Don't get me started. Impacts on climate change and agriculture. For every 75 ppm increase in CO2 concentration, rice yeast increases 0.5 ton per hectare. Isn't that amazing? Projected impacts, it's just not good. You don't have to go through them. Large-scale fires, we've already seen how the Earth's going. Effects of climate change on global food production. It's going to be less because there's going to be more storms that are going to wipe things out. Hail, flooding, all sorts of poor droughts. It's going to be masses of those events. So by you cool people practicing organics, you're helping. It's a good work. We can all individually do our bit. Challenges to the farmer. input availability, climate change, shrinking farmland, soil erosion and degradation, pest and disease attack, all this stresses, management money. So yeah, it can all be fixed with, can all kind of be fixed. You can't fix mortgages and money, but you know what I mean? Organics just is a good way to start, good way to practice, good way to health. Oh, it's continued in the lecture 10. Adaptations and mitigations for climate change. Okay, I'm going to really go through this. You have to pause it if you want to read it. Climate change and soil organic matter. Should really start. Agricultural practices, greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah, we all know. Climate change is enough now, been around for, we all sort of know about it, where 10 or 20 years ago it was, people were saying, remember, it's not true. The glaciers aren't receding. They were saying that. What's all this? Global warming potential. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I think that's good for this week. Let's get back to some questions. See if there's any. 100%. GMF. I'll tell the gardener. No, tell that gardener, Sunshine, to watch my watch my talk I did a few weeks ago, or sharing the link. But the thing is, he's set in his ways, and he definitely won't watch it. They're set in their ways, mate. He could have resistance to it. They talk about micro amounts and nano pico amounts in my speech that I gave. That's actually in foods. So people they deal with it differently. But Infinite Wonder says we aren't going to meet our target. A lot of countries won't. Yeah, that's right. GMF says, do the world a favour, be vegetarian, lowers your carbon footprint, lowers your healthcare costs, is cheaper than meat, and increases your quality of life. Just a thought. Nice words. And to add to that, in my microbial biotechnology course, they were talking about Tempe, Tempe. It's grown off a fungus. Don't know the name. It said it the name in the class. But it's grown from that, and it's a alternative to meat, and they reckon it tastes like chicken. And I thought, cool. That's something that I'd like to get, that species of fungi, and try and inoculate my soybeans with it and grow tempeh. And that would be my meat substitute. Just as much protein, but no methane put out by that production. So, yeah. I do eat chicken, I have to say, but I eat 10 vegetables every night with rice and chicken every single night. Holy mackerel, nearly an hour and a half. Look at that. All right, so what should I change? I'm going to change those leaves. In my new slide that I've done, you still watching? Does anybody have any feedback for me, please? It's suggested that those leaves I should be changed, and I think I will. I'll put some nice. I can't put red maple leaves. I'll see how it looks. I like the maple tree, how it fades with its anthocyanins, how it goes into fall time. It really looks really nice. I like that. That'd be cool. Banana leaves, I don't know. Does anybody have any suggestions about what I could change, or any improvements or things to take away from that, please? It would be good. All feedback is good feedback in my eyes. That's why I hope you don't feel bad, Sunshine RB, about what I said before. I wasn't getting up you, mate. I just, from what that fella said, he mightn't, I don't know. I won't repeat what I've already said, but feedback for what? Feedback on the screen, on the screenshot. See, I've changed have a look on the screen, and I'll put up a new words, new pictures, new stuff like that. So I'm not putting the old screen up anymore, because I want to get out of that and go into foreign agriculture or homesteading or something like that. It's the future, and I need more people to get onto this channel so we can spread the good word. And for me, being focused on that one area I was for so many years, I was getting nowhere, actually nearly going backwards, putting in massive amounts of effort and getting nowhere. So that's why I've changed it, mate. I'm not doing that leaf thing anymore. I'm doing the agriculture, sustainable agriculture. Plant science, soil science, and microbiology, just what I'm studying. And I'm putting it all to practice so I can give some experience with that too. And yeah, Aussie Jeffro says, big cactus. Oh yeah, I don't mind cacti. That's the go. That's the go. I feel like that suggestion, Aussie Jeffro, thanks. Infinite Wonder says, maybe some gum leaves or something. Oh yeah, some gum leaves. Sweet. Oh, CC, all good, mate. Thank you for the feedback, Sunshine RB. GMF says, poultry is a fraction of the carbon of beef. Good on you, brother. Well, the beef, it gives me antacid. And there's too much fat in it. They say marbling is good. That's the white meat. That's fat, saturated fat. It goes to your hips. So that's just because I say it's good doesn't mean it's blooming good. Thanks for the nice words, though, mate. No dramas. Oh yeah, change it up. Homesteading for sure. I don't know about that. Homesteading sounds good. It sounds like the nice folk. Sunshine OB, our food supply is under attack by corporate people like Gates and BlackRock. It's big marketing wins. They can tell you, well, they've won already, saying to spray your crops and then go and it's anyway. Aussie Jeffro says, thanks for the time today, Aussie. See, I'm in the background now. I've got to go out. Thanks for your time too, mate. Appreciate it. And your words too. Infinite Wonder says, the show's wrapping up. Infinite Wonder says, I wasn't getting recommended your videos on Saturday morning, but now I am. Okay. Wonder if they've done also something different. Because I've changed my hashtags. I've changed quite a few. All my metadata is what YouTube was telling me this morning. I was chatting to them, live chat thing, and that's what they were saying, my metadata and stuff too. So I've had to go and rechange a fair bit, which I'm happy for because we've had a good discussion today. I like the back and forward, not just me sitting here talking. I like helping people and getting better understandings out and shedding light on different things, and also me learning. Like today, I learned about the homesteading community. It teaches me stuff. I'm not a computer. I don't know everything. I only know so much I learn in my education. So I'm happy to hear that, Info Wonders. That's good. That might be slowly working. I might be on the right stage, on the right not procedure, on the right road to get the better word out to people. And I see in the bottom left, organic gardening and agriculture. Please drop your questions below. I have no else to say. I thought it's all right. So good. I think that's positive feedback. So yeah, just the leaves. We might go to some gum leaves or some cacti or maple. I'll see what I can get. Some little cartoony leaves because that's like a cartoon image. Because the photo looks pretty much like me. I wear black glasses. I've got black short hair like that. So yeah, and hopefully we can get more people interested in the plant science, soil science, and microbiology for sustainable agriculture. I should put organic gardening a bit bigger. I don't know. All right, I better not hold these up. It's been an hour and a half now. I only got through 10 lectures. That's good. Good fun, though. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in. Thank you for listening this back. And I hope you can join all the chat and myself next week. That would be really good again. Thanks for putting in the effort. Happy breeding, happy growing, good health to you all. Bye-bye. Thank you. See ya.